The commonest problems which occurs with monogenic diabetes is either it can be a neonatal diabetes, it can be MODY, or it can be syndromic diabetes. There is a high prevalence of monogenic diabetes in type 1.5b, which is antibody negatives and causing around 12.5% of type 1.5b could be monogenic diabetes. Today clinical trial, one of the largest trial showing 4.5% adolescent type 2 diabetes were actually MODY. So there is a heterogeneity of eligibility criteria and screening of a limited number of genes which possesses the challenge in determining the true prevalence of monogenic diabetes, and that's why we aim to describe our experience of evaluating the genetic using next generation sequencing and clinical characteristics. We all know NGS, it enables rapid and simultaneous screening of all known diabetes genes at a single test, and very useful for that. How it is going to be useful? Guides the precision therapy, switching from insulin to sulfonylureas, and make the patient very happy that so-called clinically labeled type 1 diabetes patients and now they are switched to sulfonylureas. Patient also become happy, which can be possible for ABCC8 and KCNJ gene mutation, and it facilitates the family screening and management also. So ours was ambispective study in Department of Endocrinology, run over last almost 2.5 decades. The onset of diabetes mellitus was before 30 years, and their patients with strong family history of young onset diabetes were included. And we definitely excluded type 1 diabetes with high titer autoantibody positivity and type 2 diabetes with obesity and signs of insulin resistance. We definitely recorded age, sex, and demography and anthropometric parameters, including lab evaluations and GAD antibodies and other parameters, and the treatment and outcome. So we screened a total of 119 patients suspected monogenic diabetes, characterizing the absence of high titer beta cell antibodies meeting at least one of the following criteria. A, it is diagnosis of diabetes and hyperglycemia before 30 years of age, positive family history of non-autoimmune diabetes mellitus, at least 1 or 2 or 3 generations of diabetes in that family. C-peptide cutoff, what we take is 0.2, the fasting C-peptide, and stimulated C-peptide 0.6, stable fasting hyperglycemia, the signs of insulin resistance, and presence of extra pancreatic phenotypes. So results were, out of 119, we found monogenic diabetes in 45 patients, which is 37.8%. It's very high. Of which 5 were neonatal diabetes, 20 were MODY, and syndromic diabetes were 20. And among syndromic, Wolfram syndrome were 9, Walcott-Rallison syndrome was 1, Rapson-Mendenhall syndrome were 3, lipodystrophy syndrome 3, Rogers syndrome 1, mitochondrial inherited diabetes and deafness 1, Fanconi-Bickel 1, and APS 1. And amongst the MODY, the highest prevalence what we have noticed was for MODY 12, which is MODY X ABCC8 gene, 7 patients. So when talk about neonatal diabetes, although the true prevalence of neonatal diabetes is very less, 1 in almost closer to 1 lakh live births, it can be temporary and it can be permanent. There are certain genes which shows temporary neonatal diabetes, and there are certain genes which can show both temporary and neonatal diabetes. One thing is very interesting, and I'm going to show you the case next subsequently, that the diabetes frequency relapses at the puberty because of high insulin requirement. Now this is a girl, she presented to she's a 9-year-old girl studying in 4th standard. She presented with polys and LRTI. She was investigated somewhere, found to be diabetic. C-peptide was 0.55, antibodies were negative. So she was diagnosed as type 1.5b diabetes, and which has been noticed. Another patient, 30-year-old female, diagnosed with diabetes as 25 years of age, no history of DKA, C-peptides are normal, treated with insulin. There is a family history of diabetes, and mother died. She had deafness and she died for whatever reason unknown. We did the genetics and found that the patient had mitochondrial diabetes, and it is MIDD, mitochondrial inherited diabetes with deafness. Patient is treated with DP4 inhibitors and coenzyme Q. We stopped the metformin because of very low BMI. Again, 16-year-old female born out of non-consanguineous marriage, presented with generalized darkening and primary amenorrhea, diagnosed with diabetes at 15 years of age. C-peptides was very high, insulin levels were very high, and there was acanthosis at neck, axilla, groin, and the patient having muscular appearance. We did the next gen NGS, which is showing partial familial partial lipodystrophy due to LMNA variant, and patient when treated with insulin sensitizers like metformin and pioglitazone. So when we summarize our syndromic diabetes, we have 9 Wolfram syndrome, we have 3 lipodystrophy syndrome, we have 3 Rapson-Mandel syndrome, we have 1 Walcott-Rallison syndrome, 1 Rogers syndrome, 1 MIDD, 1 Fanconi-Bickel and 1 APS, where lipodystrophy and MIDD are on oral hypoglycemic agents and others are treated with insulin. The discussion which I started with that when the antibodies are negative, you can screen the patient with genetic testing. But the French study, the Finnish study, pediatric registry showed that low levels of ICA antibodies, islet cell antibodies, sometimes may have genetic mutation positive for HNF1 alpha and GCK. So the titers what they have proposed, these titers, they say that if the antibody titers are more than that, you can still think of it is not type 1 diabetes, but go ahead and do the NGS sequencing. So high prevalence may be at our center, maybe because of referral bias. The most common subtypes were MODY and syndromic diabetes. The most common MODY was MODY 12. The most common neonatal diabetes was ABCC8. The most common syndromic diabetes was Wolfram syndrome. Family history is very important. Young onset diabetes in 3 generations of family members and consanguineous marriage increases the likelihood of autosomal recessive syndromic diabetes. Obesity is a feature of monogenic diabetes with MODY 11. Extra pancreatic phenotype may help in etiology. If the beta cells are with sufficient C peptide showing they do respond to OHS, otherwise like MODY 4 and 5, they require insulin. Patient can be successfully transited to sulfonylureas. MODY 12 can be treated with sulfonylurea. Few cases of MODY 1 and MODY 3 can be treated with sulfonylurea. GCK like MODY 2 can be treated with lifestyle modification. So if a child comes as neonate comes with diabetes, always think of NDM, neonatal diabetes, if the antibodies are negative. If the patient presents below 30 years of age and having syndromes or there is a family history of 2 or 3 generations in the family, think of either it can be type 2 or it can be MODY and screen for that. If the patient is having any extra pancreatic features like deafness or neurologic features, think of syndromic diabetes, and the milder part you can think of GCK as one of them. I would like to conclude the prevalence of monogenic diabetes is more influenced by the pre-selection criteria at our center, and that's why it is showing almost 38%. The precise diagnosis of diabetes has enabled and replacement of unnecessarily insulin injections with oral medications, and the families and the children are very happy. Even though they were taking insulin for many years and genetics were available, we have successfully shifted them back to sulfonylureas. In summary, our study described clinical, biochemical and genetic characteristics of Western India people living with monogenic diabetes and underscored the importance of NGS, that is next generation sequencing method, for better individualized management. With all this, thank you for patient listening. Thank you very much.